We took a trip down to Elkhart, Indiana to the RVMH Hall of Fame and Museum. And I had to kind of convince you to come here because I knew it was going to be all about nerding out over the history of RVing. I don't think you were too sure at first.
All right, I admit, the first couple times I've heard about this place, which was actually a few years ago, I thought it was kind of dorky. Now, I love museums, so I guess I should have known what it was, but I think I'd seen a couple reviews that were not so great, so I wasn't really keen on coming. But it was actually really cool and a lot of fun today.
They have a lot here, and you should plan on spending a couple of hours, if not more, wandering through some of the displays and really spending time reading and learning about the industry and the RVs that have been built over the years.
The other thing we should point out is the MH actually stands for mobile home, not motorhome. Mobile technically does mean movable, but essentially they're more manufactured housing and that kind of a thing, not necessarily an RV. That's a big deal here in the Elkhart area because they kind of call it the RV capital of the world because most of the RVs are made in this area, as well as all of the third-party suppliers that go into all of the RVs. So it's just a big deal around here. We found out the reason why Elkhart is because the person who sort of invented the RV just happened to be from Elkhart. He was a salesman who wanted to take his family with him on the road, so he built and sort of made this custom homemade trailer that he took his family with. And he came back here to Elkhart. He had people that wanted them, and so he started building them and selling them, and it just sort of took off.
When you mentioned that the suppliers, that put all the equipment and appliances and everything in RVs, it's just one of those random things where the guy that started it all happened to be from Elkhart. Others who wanted to compete kind of started in the area. All the suppliers figured this was the place to be, and Elkhart exploded because of it. So it's really kind of an interesting when people think, why Elkhart, Indiana? I think it was kind of random, but it clearly worked for them.
There's actually quite a bit here at the Hall of Fame and Museum. As the name implies, part of it is the Hall of Fame, which is people from the RV industry, the suppliers, the dealers, the manufacturers who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. And so there's a big wall with all their pictures and information and the history of the Hall of Fame and this location in the museum. So check that out. That's really cool. Another section is dedicated to the museum part, which features all of the old trailers, everything from 1913 all the way up to like the 1980s and everything in between, which gives you a really cool look at how trailers and campers and just the camping industry has evolved over the years.
This is the oldest travel trailer here at the museum. It's a 1913, and one of the things that's cool about it is it's being hauled by a Model T, and 1913 apparently was the last year that you could choose your color. That's a blue Model T, and then they went to all black. If you remember the famous phrase from Henry Ford that you can have any color you want as long as it's black, apparently they did colors for a while before that. One of the things I really enjoyed about the displays they have here is you can interact with them. So, there are trailers and RVs that are over 100 years old here, and those are roped off. You can look at them, you can lean in, you can't really get in or touch them or anything. But a lot of the ones from, 60s, 70s, 80s, you can climb in and see what they were like, see what the innovations were all about at the time, and just kind of get a feel for what camping was like back in that era.
I'm standing in a 1954 Holiday Rambler, and it's super cute. But the one thing I thought was really funny was the bed system. So you have this normal cute couch bed down below, but then up above you have army cots that are built in, and I'm pretty sure they're designed for two people, considering there's a bar down the middle. So for everybody that complains in the Class Bs where you might have to climb over somebody, like, once you're up here, and you're not getting out, and I'm pretty sure they must have to stick the kids up there or something. But anyway, it doesn't look the most comfortable. Let's just put it that way.
A lot of times these days, people will talk about innovations in the RV industry. But when you go back, it's always been about innovation in RVs. In this particular trailer, one of the neat things that it has is when it folds down, it's all closed up. But it has a storage compartment and your ice box that you can get to either from inside the trailer or from a door on the outside. So even when your trailer's folded up and ready for travel, you can still access the interior so that you can put your food and your provisions in.
This is one of the first examples of a manufactured travel trailer, as opposed to the homemade ones that were generally popular. It's a 1916, and we kind of laugh because
it, folds out into this tent. But if you notice the sleeping arrangements, you've got your 2 beds up here, and then you've got 2 cots that fit underneath down by the wheels. So we were laughing, is it like rock, paper, scissors, oldest, seniority? Like, who gets the cots under the trailer? They always say everything old is new again, and clearly that happens in the RV industry as well. This is a 1955 trailer with the first slide out. We think of slides as being relatively new, but in this case, the whole back end slid out to create a separate bed. Yet again, is it rock, paper, scissors to who gets to sleep back here? Because it's a little tiny and a little claustrophobic. But hey, when you got to put all your 8 kids somewhere, I suppose having the slide out was a really popular addition.
One of the first rigs with a bunkhouse.
Yeah, and a cool one at that. It's like up here behind this wall. Here, let me show you. There's a little ladder over here. Mattress has seen better days. Hi. This one's cool.
Also one of the first trailers to have a sink, commode, and shower included inside, because previously camping trailers didn't have those.
One of the things I really enjoyed was the variety that they have here. And it's a lot of what's been donated to them or they've acquired. So it's sort of a mishmash of things. But they have, in addition to just some regular Holiday Rambler styles, you also have 2 pretty historic RVs. One of them was Mae West traveling coach. She never lived in it, but it was to take her from like her hotel to her shooting locations, because that's how they convinced her to come out of vaudeville and go on to movies, which I thought was really fascinating.
It was her chauffeured
Chauffeur,
house car.
yes.
complete with a porch off the back, and they said when it was nice out, she'd sit out there with a rocker, and relax.
Hey, why not? You also have Charles Lindbergh's trailer, which is just really cool when you think about the history and everything behind that. So I like the fact that they have these historical things, as well as just trailers and tent campers that families have donated over the years. So there's just a wide variety.
And they have done a good job also, as they've put their collection together, of sort of firsts, like, the first Coachman and the first Fleetwood, that kind of thing, to show you what the models were like. And they make a point of things like, we found a trailer that had the first slide out, which I think was, the 1950s or something. Stuff that we think is new and exciting has probably been around a lot longer than you realize. And that's what you learn when you come to a place like this.
Another thing here at the museum, and it may be a little dorky, but it's kind of cool, is the library. And it has pretty much every magazine from every different escapees, RV living, whatever kind of different magazines you can come up with, going all the way back through, I don't know, like the 50s or 60s, I think we saw, up through the present day. So it's just really kind of cool to kind of flip through those, and you can just go up there and pull them off the shelf and look at them. I know we looked at an escapees newsletter from 1983 and compared it to today's issue, and I mean, it's just really cool to kind of see what the stories are that were going back then. One of the pages I flipped open to had to do with healthcare on the road, which I know is still an issue for most travelers. So even way back in 1983, we were talking about dealing with healthcare on the road. So again, some things never change.
The other thing in the library that's kind of fun is they have a pretty good collection of sales brochures from RVs over the years, and you can look them up. They're in cabinets, and you can look them up by manufacturer. We looked up Road Trek, and I thought it was kind of funny that they only had like 3 different model years, and one of them was ours. So we got to look through the sales brochure from the 2008 model Road Trek that we actually own.
Yeah, that was really kind of cool. Another section of the building houses a rotating display of new models, things that the manufacturers are coming out with that are probably new on the lot. So you'll never know what you're going to see when you get here. On display today was, I think, Jayco, and then one of like the new retro vintage trailers that looked like the trailers that were in the old section we looked at, but it's one of the brand new models. So just kind of fun to see. So you'll never know what you're going to see when you come to that. Also in that area is a really cool display of how a travel trailer gets built. It's a 1/24 scale model from start to finish. And what's really neat is it's truly set up as like the floor. So you see all the little like refrigerators and dometic boxes. You get a really good feel from the first part of the frame all the way to the final touches of the decals on the outside and just the inspection process. I mean, I know it's little, but it's really cool to check out.
So this is a place I would recommend. I would have recommended it before I came here because I'm that kind of a nerd. But it is $12 for adults to get in, and they're open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday. I think it's 10 to 4 on Sunday. Anybody who's concerned right now because of the COVID pandemic and everything going on, there's plenty of space here to socially distance from others as you're walking through the units. They do require that you wear masks. That's a county rule right now here in this Indiana county, so you do have to do that. But I didn't think it was a problem at all, and everybody seemed to be doing really well in there in terms of,
fine.
you know, if a trailer has somebody in it already, you just wait and, you know, wait your turn, and it wasn't that big of a deal. There also is the added benefit, if you are a Harvest Host member, they do allow you to camp here overnight. There's no facilities or anything, but it's a massive parking lot, and there's plenty of room to put a rig any which way so you can level out here and just, you know, maybe come in and spend the night. I know that's what we're going to be doing, and then we'll check out some other stuff in the area tomorrow.
So I'll admit, Ari was right. This was totally worth coming and checking out. So you should make the trip to Elkhart to come to the RVMH Hall of Fame and Museum.
Keep on trekking.
And we'll see you out there.
And did everybody notice that she said I was right? To Elkhart, Indiana, to the RV and mobile home manufacturers. What is it? Museum?
It's the RVMH
RVMH
Hall of Fame
and Museum. Okay.
Let's try that again.
We took a trip down to Elkhart, Indiana to visit the RVMH. I cannot say it.
That's it. It's just the
RVMH Hall of Fame and Museum. We took a trip down to Elkhart, Indiana to the RVMH Hall of Fame. Oh my God. Okay. All right, ready?